Hi guys, welcome again to this channel. If you are new in data analytics or you're just starting out, this is the best place you can be because I drop nuggets for data analyst every other week. Okay, so if you're just hearing my voice for the first time, do well to hit the subscribe button, like the video, share with your friends, and comment on what next you would love me to, work on, and I'm going to consider that. Now, today I am going to hold you by hand and walk you through the first set of queries you will be writing, especially if you're new in SQL. I'm going to be using the aggregate functions a lot, and also these ones that I have written up here. It's just these are like the basics of SQL functions. So you need to know them. You need to know the arrangements by which each one follows the other. You don't just write anyone anyhow. They have a pattern. Do you understand? If you stick around to the end of the video, I have a project on SQL that you can work on, right? To put in your portfolio and all of that. So just stick around while I show you the project. Okay, so now let's get started. And what is the best way to start if it's not to create table? Create database, run this, and your database is created. But I don't want to create a database. I want mine to be this master. But basically, this is how you will create your database. Okay. And you do what? You execute it here and it's created. So, but the main thing I want to show us today is how to create a table because you're going to be working a lot with tables. Okay. So create table. Now you're going to put in a bracket. What type of table do we want to create? Let me say I want to create a sales table. So in that sales table, I'm definitely going to have a sales ID, which will serve as my primary key. I'm going to have the date that sales was made. I'm going to have the product. I'm going to have the amount. These key things are things I'm going to have. And we're going to impute this the way we want them to show. If you want the date to show before the product, that means you have to put the date before the product. If you want the product to show before the order amount, you have to put the product before the order amount while creating this table. Okay, so let's get started with that. So now when we have create table, we want to what is the name of the table we want to create? So let's just say sales. And after the sales, we're just going to put in the bracket because this is now when we want to start putting in, what our attributes will be. Attributes meaning the columns now, right? So we want to have sales ID. And our sales ID is int, that's integer. And we also want this sales ID to stand as what? Our primary key. So we'll put the comma. The next thing we want is we want to have the date, right? And this will be dates. So the next thing we want is probably the customer ID. So we're just going to have it here, customer ID. And our customer ID is what? Is varchar. Varchar means variable character. So varchar 10. If you know that you're going to use customer ID, that is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is best to use int, right? If you know, because in this one now we're using C001, C002, so that is why varchar is more appropriate. So use the appropriate data type for whatever it is or whatever column you are creating in your table is also important. Okay, so we're saying varchar, we want to say what? 10. We use our comma. The next thing we want to see is products. We're going to have a product column, and our product is also going to be what? Varchar. And we'll say let's give it like 20 because I don't know, I think the name should be around 20. Normally you'll be seeing 50, but if the name of if the names of your products is not that big, there is no point using virtual 50. So the next thing we want to do, we want to see amount because there will be price, either price or amount. Use whichever one you want. And data type. And we're using the decimal because if you notice, when you go to some stores, you're going to see 800.99, 800.65, all of those things. That is why decimal is important. So for this decimal, we're just going to put bracket and we're going to say what? 10, right? But it doesn't end there. You're going to put a comma and use 2 because we're going to have 2 decimal places, which is like 0.99, 0.85, all of those things. So let us close our bracket. And the last thing we want to see is the region. So is this product being bought from the east, west, all of those things. So region, we're having what? Varchar let's just say 20 because it's mostly east, west, north, south. It's never more than these five words. So let's just use 20. And this is it really. We have been able to create our table, right? But nothing is going to be in this table because, I mean, we've not inserted any value. So let's run this. We're going to copy this and execute. And you can see command completed what? Successfully. So if we even view our table, right? Sales is the name of our table. We're going to see just empty structures that we created. Okay, so you can see we have sales ID, dates, which we created here. The customer ID is here, the product, the amount, and the region. So we have our table, but it is what? It is empty. So now we want to begin to insert values into our table. So this is how normally database and tables are being created. And then the data engineers do their thing by, putting in or pumping in data or values into those tables. Okay, so now we have viewed our empty structure, that's our sales table. The next thing we want to do is to actually insert values into this table. Let's just do like 10 rows. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this so we're not going to waste time. So let me just show us how to insert the first value, okay, before I then post the other one. So now to insert value into the database, all you need to do is use the word insert into the sales table, right? We're going to use all of these attributes that we have created. We are going to put them here. So I'm just going to copy them. So we're inserting into sales ID, dates, the same way you wrote them, products, amounts, and lastly, region. So we're just going to cover this, right? Or close the bracket rather. So now that we know that we're inserting into these attributes or these columns, now the values we want to insert, we're going to put values here. So the values we now want to insert, open another bracket. For sales ID, we want to use what? One. We want to insert one. One for the sales ID, then the date. We're not going to say 2025 0101. So let's cover it. We're going to use our comma. Then our customer ID, we're also going to use the code for that. And this is the reason why it's voucher, because we're going to be using what? C001. Okay. So that is what we want our customer ID to be. You're going to use the comma as well. Then come to the products. We're going to be having say, let's say laptop, and then the amount we're going to be using, let's say we're giving this 150.22. Okay, that's the price for the laptop. And lastly, the region, we're going to say this is for the east. This order is coming from the east, and then we're going to close our brackets. Okay, so I need to put the amount before the region, else this is going to throw me an error, because if you noticed, I kept my amount before the region when I was creating the table. So I'll just do that right now. And these are the values we are inserting into our table called sales. Now let us run this so we can see our values. You can see 10 rows affected. Now we're going to come back here to view our table. It's good practice to always, write out your comments on your query. Do you understand? Comment on your query so that whoever is going to read it next will definitely understand. So I'll do that later on. So let's just view our table. And voila, you can see every single thing we have written is in our table, guys. This is it. And it looks so good. Now let us go use these functions, which are the functions we're going to be using the most. Now we've been able to use the create function, which you can see in creating database. We created a table. We have even used the insert function, which wasn't even here, but we've used the insert function to insert values into our table. The next thing now, let us use the select function. Select is just you telling your database, bring out for me. I'm selecting this. So yeah, bring it out for me. That is basically what select is. Okay, so let us use select function now. So let's say we want to select products. We want to select amount and region. So this is the way it goes now. When you said you want to select these columns, where are you selecting it from? You have made an order. Where are you making that order from? This is how you have to think about it, because there are steps. You cannot just start saying from, then select, then order, then where. No. it has to go through the step of select, then you're selecting it from somewhere, then you're giving a condition, you're filtering. So let's just continue. We're selecting product, selecting amount, selecting region, right? And now, where are we selecting it from? We're selecting it from the sales table because that is where the machine is going to go look for whatever it is we're selecting. So let's put sales there. Great. Now, if we run this, obviously it's going to come out. So let's just run it. And you can see we have our product, our amount, and our region. Great. So now, the next thing we want to do, we've selected and we've called the table. Now, let's say we want to select where the date is equals to what? So let us see what this brings for us. And you can see we have headphones, okay, which is 150, and it was the region is west. These ones are like the basic things. Select from where. Now let us have a query where we would need to group by and to order by. Okay. So we'll just come down and we'll say select all. If you want to select all, you use the star, right? Select all from sales, which is the table. So we'll say from the table sales, where product is equals to laptop. So after the where clause, the next thing that should normally follow should be the group by, right? But you use group by only when you have aggregated in the select statement. Okay, so for example, let's even go back to this one. Let's say we want to aggregate and we say products and the sum. You put the amount and you say as you want to sum the amount as what value. So now you will see that if we run this thing, there will be an error. Let's try it out. As you can see, this is the error. And what is the error saying? Is invalid in the select list because it is contained in either an aggregate function or the group by clause. So whenever you have aggregated anything in your select statement, you must do well to do what? To group by. So when you now come down here and you say group by, what do you want to group by? You must group by every other thing that you did not aggregate in your select statement. So now we're going to group by product as well as region. So if you listed 10 columns here and you aggregated only one, trust me, you're going to group by the remaining 9 columns. And that is how your query is going to run. Okay, so now let us run this and see. So you can see it right here. Now you have the value. Okay, so what group by does is to summarize our data. You know, it helps us group rows that have the same values into summary, values or into summary data. Helps us group rows that have the same value into what? Summary rows. Okay, so now normally after group by, then order by comes. Okay, but yeah, we can just put order by here. So I'm just going to come down here since we have selected a lot, right? I'm just going to say order by. So for order by, it just helps us to see our data in either ascending or descending order. Do you understand? And it orders by certain rules that you have specified. Okay, so right now I can say order by okay, I chose all. So now we're going to say what? Let us just order by region, right? So now when we order by region, we're just going to see east, north, south, west. Okay, so we are not doing any group by here because there is no aggregate function. All right, but normally you use your order by after the group by statement. Okay, so now order by, let's use region and see. And now you can see this is the laptop that we have in east, north, and west for the product, because this is what we are filtering for. Do not forget, we are filtering for what? Laptop. So this is the laptop. Now, if we say we want to filter for tablet, we're going to see tablet and let's run it. Okay, you can see tablets, right? For south and south. All right, so these are the major things. One thing you should know is you're selecting first, then you're writing from where it's from. You're going to use the from statement. which is to get it from the particular table that it is in. Then you're going to filter using where. So you can also use, if you are going to filter more than one thing, after the where tablet is this, you can decide to use and product, or let's say and price, amount rather, and amount equals to, let's say, tablet 450. So if you want to filter down, to all of these, you can use this particular one and it's just going to get you that particular thing that you want. The next thing now is the aggregate functions, because we are done with all of these. Okay, so the aggregate functions are quite easy. I'm just going to come here. We have count, minimum, maximum, sum, average. We even have like distinct count, so you can just come here. I'm just going to be changing this. We've used sum, so you see sum. When we look for the mean, that means we're looking for what? The minimum amount. That is the smallest amount in this table. So the smallest is for headphones and the value is 150. When we look for max, we're looking for the maximum, that is the biggest amount in this table. So when we execute that, you will see the maximum of everything that we have. Okay, so the max amount is what? 1,700. And then here we can decide to order by what? The value. You can either write value, yes, or you write two. If you want to order by product, product is the first column in this select statement. So you can use one to represent it. Value is the second. You can use two to represent it. Region is the third. You can use three to represent it. So it's either you use the numerical value to represent it, or you can write the name out. Do you understand? Either way it works. So you can say order by one, or rather two in my case, and we want it ascending. Okay, so let us run this. Now you can see 150 is the smallest. Obviously, we can see 1,700. That means we want to see this in descending. Okay, so now we have 1,700. That is our max. Okay, so after that, we have 1,540, 1,400. And this is exactly what the order by does for us. We can see everything the way we want it, right? When I did ascending, you saw it, and this is descending right now. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to use what? The amount and the average. Those are the only ones remaining. So let us see count. So you can see count. We have two laptops, we have smartphone two, we have tablets two, and every other one is what? One. And then the last one is what? Average. So for this average, let us look. And we can see the average is what? Is the price, because they all showed up once. And this is for the amount, and the same thing will happen when we also use the average functions. So trust me, every new data analyst, these are the basics you really need to know when it comes to starting out in SQL. So I hope you've been able to enjoy this tutorial. And yes, I can remember I promised you a project, an SQL project that would actually guide you into knowing how to do things in SQL. You would see this project at the end of the video right now. So thank you all for watching. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, tell me what you would love to see next, and I will consider making that video. Okay, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Enjoy the project I have for you, and bye.